All bad stuff.
All right.
Are you on the phone with him?
Yeah, so Austin is our on-site AVP correspondent doing the MC locally, and he will answer the phone, and he does a really good job getting some player profile stuff, kind of talk about them on site, and he just goes and talks to the players. So if we ever run into that situation, usually a text or a phone call to Austin is a great move. Nick Piccoli also on site there for us. I'm Taylor Wright. Also on the phone with me here is Rob Espiro. Welcome to the AVP 2025 WAUPACA Open Contender Series event, feeding into the storied Manhattan Beach Open. A men's and women's bid will be given away here this week, and we are so excited. Rob, our first matchup of the day here on Stadium Court at WAUPACA is going to be Savvy Simo. If you've been around beach volleyball at all, you certainly know that name. And Abby Van Winkle, the fire, the passion, bring it to the court as she tools one off the top of the block there, recovered, picked up deep line though. Oh, and Savvy's going to chop that one down away. And taking them on is Allison Kerr and Emily Weber. These two made it through the edge of the Contender Series, popping in to this main draw here at WAUPACA. WAUPACA being a storied grass tournament. Started some beach volleyball some past years, and the AVP coming in has turned this into a Contender Series event, offering up some bids. Rob, how's your week going, brother?
Well, it was a short week because you and I, along with other broadcast partner, Jacob Justice, just finished what was an exciting Denver Open. So kind of coming down off the high from the two finals that we got to work this last weekend. So quick turnaround here for WAUPACA. So we're doing prep work, as you know, and looking through the qualifiers, seeing who's going to make it through to our first match here this morning. And always a good number one seed in Abby and Winkle and Savvy Simo. And, this UCLA program seems to churn out a lot of quality products in the AVP and playing internationally. And we saw some last weekend in Devin Newberry and Jaden Whitmarsh, continuing on with a few others here, and Abby Van Winkle and Savvy Simo. So, we're expecting to see excellent play because Savvy Simo, in her UCLA time, was a highlight reel and a high energy, high action player. And Abby Van Winkle has been one of the, probably, dare I say, one of the top blockers in the Bruin Beach volleyball program history, underneath Stein Metzger and Jenny Johnson Jordan. So, seeing the development of both of these players in their careers from Torrey Pines High School and Santa Margarita High School to juniors over in the AVP Hermosa Junior Championships through UCLA, and now it doesn't surprise me that they're always in the mix for a lot of the AVP events and even the international events through Volleyball World and in the FIVB. So they're going to come out firing just because that's what they do, and they don't make a ton of mistakes. Which is, if you're learning the game, watch Abby and Savvy, and you'll get a great masterclass of playing ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to call a match for Savvy down there at Palm Beach, that Contender event, and man, I think that's the number one thing that I continue to talk about the entire match is just low error volleyball. Sometimes there's not a lot of flash, a lot of pizzazz and sparkle in her game, but it's just the consistency. She kills you with consistency, and then she lets Abby Van Winkle handle the kind of the pizzazz and sparkle, as Abby loves to get up there, high flyer, and absolutely can detonate on the ball.
Oh, there's another one right there, clamping down.
And Abby is such a disciplined blocker. Oh, it looks like we're getting a fault there, maybe a net fault. Not sure what the call was there. That definitely was a great-looking block.
Serving deep over towards Savvy as she winds up over the right side. Shoots over the block.
Big rundown. Oh, not taken care of well. Got her feet to it, just couldn't quite get it back to her partner to play.
5-5 the score. And just so you know, it's not DJ Klasnich and Logan Weber they're playing. It's Allison Kerr in the blue and Emily Weber in the black top.
I mean, I could see DJ. DJ's got the man bun too. Maybe our on-site staff getting a little confused. I could see the confusion. Big shout out to Savvy and Abby, by the way. The last AVP event they played was Palm Beach, and that's because they took their talents internationally. And they've been playing some incredible events outside of the U.S. lately. Turkey, Poland, and they just got done playing one of the most incredible events in the world stage, Gstaad, Switzerland. That is an event that is so high on probably so many people's bucket list to just simply attend, let alone go play in. So big shout out to them for pushing, and they're already signed up for 2 more. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Bad in Austria, and up there in Canada, going to go get them some maple syrup in Montreal.
We got a 7-7 score, and hanging tight are Emily Weber and Allison Kerr. That ball snuck by there, and that looking like doing the job is Allison Kerr.
Yeah, talking with one of our on-site correspondents who was there, has been there with the AVP this whole week through the qualifier. And Austin Daniels, our on-site MC, these girls played out of their minds, is his exact words, in the qualifier just to make it into this main draw. So they might be the 16 seed here, or I believe they are the 16 seed, but that's
correct. They are.
They earned the heck out of that. Apparently, taking down some rather solid teams and really, picking up some tough wins. So they are doing their job here this morning, and certainly hanging with the number 1 seed.
I'm curious because Emily Weber and Allison Kerr, they had to grind their way out of their qualifier match. They had to go to a 3rd set tiebreak with a deuce set, 3rd set 15-13, and they were, from the appearance, they were grinding back and forth in that all those sets in that final match to get them into the main draw.
Yeah, and if anyone listening is familiar with WAUPACA, these girls might be camping. It is a rather common, kind of occurrence at this tournament in particular, that there's a very large campground attached to the tournament site. So I would say probably 60 to 70% of all players playing in this event on the grass and beach side do end up camping on site. So there's a high chance that these girls grinded out those long, intense matches yesterday and then walked across the street to camp in a tent, on a cot, or on the ground. So hard recovery there.
Yeah, not glamping, but camping.
There's a couple RVs. Oh, nice little deke there, faking the option, and a nice little poke over so far. Allison Kerr and Emily Weber they're doing all the things right. They're not really finding a groove to run away from Savvy and Abby, but they are certainly doing a job of staying right there with them, shot for shot.
Standing float by Kerr goes into the net, and they're hanging tight here. We're going to our technical timeout. 11-10, just a small, narrow lead by Savvy and Abby.
So certainly not where you would expect Savvy and Abby would think they would be this morning, facing the 16 seed. Certainly thinking they're probably going to get a little bit of an easier game here. However, I've had quite a few conversations with Savvy, and I can assure you the level of calmness right now would probably be astonishing. Savvy is one of the most just stoic people I think I've ever talked to, especially in tight games down there in Palm Beach. I think during a timeout, kind of just went over and listened to her and her partner talking, Abby in their umbrella, and man, Savvy's just sitting there, just almost a melodic tone to her voice and the way she's talking Abby through the next couple of points and what she wanted to see. So I'm sure that umbrella right now is just a Zen garden of calmness.
A Zen garden of calmness. I almost feel like I want to pull up my yoga app and start doing my little exercises because you're getting me in the mood right there.
I just wish I could channel Savvy's calmness when I'm playing, because let me tell you what, I am not a Zen garden of calmness.
You're the opposite, right? You're the type A brain on fire.
Yeah. If you couldn't guess that from my Instagram handle, the Angry Volleyball Coach, which is honestly a very large play on how I actually coach. That handle was actually came up with by some of my players. A little middle serve there. Savvy's going to go option, snap away down the line. Some of my players actually came up with that. I'm very fiery when I coach, but it all comes from a place of love. And coached several girls for a very long time, and man, coaching is just a phenomenal way to experience the world. Oh, and another option ball coming back. Savvy picks up, back set. Savvy snap down away to the line.
Oh, ball by Weber.
Yeah, Weber's gonna miss that one wide. So Allison Kerr, Emily Weber, their timeout, I'm sure, was talked about missing, cleaning up some of these unforced errors. We've seen several missed serves, a couple swing aways into the net. That being said, if you're Allison Kerr, Emily Weber coming in this as the 16th seed, knowing the ball control and the low error that Savvy and Abby are going to bring to this match, you certainly know that no free balls can be given, no easy shots. So they are certainly pushing the limits of what they think they can do, and that's going to lead to some errors.
Well, you see Abby Van Winkle, one of the top servers of the AVP last year. She moves the ball around a lot with a great control, able to hit that deep, also that short shot, and she has pace. She'll hit a spin to a hybrid to a standing float, and that's caused Allison Kerr and Emily Weber to take the timeout because of two straight service aces by Abby.
Yeah, and as we've seen, I feel like a lot of players, and I would say at that qualifier level and even just your local open level, they'll get aced once or twice and they're like, I could never be I could never play in a Contender Series event or play pro. I just got aced. And what they don't recognize and accept is that even some of the best players get aced, especially with the serving prowess that we see at this level. Abby does such a good job of her approach into that serve looks almost identical, and then the placement and the depth of what she's serving changes so drastically. And so you give up that one ace kind of away towards the line, a little short, and it looks like she's almost going there again, and then just easily snaps it right down the middle.
Taylor, let me ask you this. As you're looking at our view here on our YouTube stream and presentation of the WAUPACA here, the AVP, it goes from grass to sand, which is a more compact surface, to the soft surface of the sand. How's that going to affect our gameplay, and is there a better side from the service line, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I've been to this site here two years in a row. This is actually the first year I'm missing it in the recent past. There's not a lot of service room back there, and if you do kind of back up, you almost feel like you're up on a hill looking down at the court. On especially this side, on the far side, that mesh kind of stops you, so it also cuts down on that space. But if you back up to right where you see the edge of the grass right there, you almost come up almost, I'd say, a half a foot to a foot. And so it kind of creates this like downhill run, which will be very interesting if we see any players coming out with a big, a top spin, big jump serve. It certainly becomes a rather awkward approach into that jump serve.
Well, right now you've got Abby and Savvy in a 6-2 run since the technical timeout, and they got all the points on that near side that you're seeing online here.
Yeah, I think that Zen Garden timeout worked great for Savvy and Abby. They went into that timeout. I'm sure Savvy Simo really just talked them through, a full game plan of what she wanted to see. She does a great job of kind of orchestrating game. We talk a lot about not just serving to serve, but serving to create a play that you want to defend against. And I'm sure a lot of the serves that Abby was going for were kind of orchestrated by that thought process.
As we're watching the play here, you got on the block Abby Van Winkle, but wanted to mention, both Taylor and I were talking before jumping online here, and we're finding information, Allison Kerr and Emily Weber, and it's for both of them, their first ever AVP event.
It is.
And there's another ace, this time by Savvy.
I was doing just a little bit more digging, by the way. So one benefit over here is having volleyball life. I can't really find a whole lot on the AVP side. However, I'll find some good finishes for these ladies on the grass side and the beach side that they played in some non-AVP contender events that would be on volleyball or BVB info. So some Sin City AVP America Opens, some Nashville Opens.
And there's the first set as you're watching, and Abby Van Winkle on the option ball winner takes the first 21-13.
Yeah, Abby is so good at that option. Really, it's the set from Savvy that sets it up so beautifully. Savvy knows not just to put that ball up towards the net that's hittable, but she does such a good job of pushing that ball back and forth on the net based on where the blocker's already set up and forcing that block to make a really late peel or a really late block move and giving Abby the ability to just honestly bang away.
Well, I'm curious, Taylor, the first set went quickly and it wasn't clean on both sides, but then again, Savvy and Abby turned it on right after that technical timeout.
That's something that we've seen from a lot of these, number 1 versus number 16 seed matches over the last couple of weeks, calling quite a few matches here for the AVP. We will see a lot of these 16 seed teams stick with the number 1 seed in an early match. Especially, it's just a lot of find out, and Savvy and Abby certainly not looking to expend any extra energy or really give away maybe some of their pizzazz and sprinkle that they're going to want to bust out later. But Allison and Emily doing a really good job sticking with them and taking the points where they could find them. If they could find a way to get rid of half of those unforced errors, this all of a sudden becomes a 17 or 18 to 21 set, and certainly a much better feel for them. So I'll be interested to see if they're able to kind of dial it in a little bit, certainly turn down the unforced errors, and they can certainly give Savvy and Abby a run for their money. We've seen some great shots from them, some great defense, but they're going to need to find their stride and find it early, because Savvy and Abby are certainly not wanting to play 3 sets here.
Well, Abby and Savvy just missed out on qualifying for the AVP League, and I mean the race for that final spot was intense between Abby, Savvy, Lexi Denberg, Julia Donlin, and Jaden Whitmarsh and Devin Newberry. So, for those athletes, all 4 were teammates, and actually 5 of them. And watching that all boil down to the Huntington qualifier, it was intense with crazy mad weather, with swirling winds, easy ups and umbrellas blowing all over the place, heavy rains going sideways, and these girls are still battling for it. And when it finally cleared, we had phenomenal weather, like not that it had ever happened, but it was such a grind into the quarters and the semis, and you hated seeing one of these 2 of those 3 teams being eliminated for the league play.
Yeah, that was a very, very hotly contested qualifier for the league. Savvy with a big up on a snap away. High outside platform set, and Savvy banging that one away across. Not something we see from Savvy a whole lot. Savvy does typically lean towards the placement side of the game, but she certainly has the shoulder, and when she chooses to swing away, it's usually almost a guaranteed kill, because she swings very smartly.
Well, I think the UCLA prototype is they have a small, powerful, explosive defenders, and I'll give you a few examples. Zanamuno. Then you also have Sarah Sponsel. Then Jaden Whitmarsh. And, of course, Savvy Simo.
What What a phenomenal list that is. Any college program would be, you know, ecstatic to have that stat line of players.
And just for those UCLA Beach girls who I forgot to mention, no disrespect, it's just there's so many, I've got to rattle them off pretty quickly.
Emily serves down the middle, Savvy pickup, back set, and Savvy missing that one a little wide. She looks like she was maybe leaning to the left pretty hard there. Abby maybe pushing that ball just a little wider than Savvy thought it was going to be. And an unforced error brings us to 3-3, 1 point away from the side switch. Abby front set, and a nice little simple shot out there.
Taylor, I was going to ask you, I'm noticing that for Abby and Savvy, they're doing a lot of inside-out patterns when they're attacking. Do you think that's intentional, or is there looking at the defense set up on the fly and calling it?
I think a lot of that's to establish what they want to run later on. What we've seen from Savvy and Abby is they really do love to move the ball around. Both of them not being, just so smart. Abby Van Winkle being at 6'2" clearly has the height and the reach to be able to go up and contest with almost any blocker at the AVP level on the women's side, but she really doesn't want to have to. So Savvy's such a good setter, and Abby also with great command of her hands. They really love to move that ball around and force those blockers to make such a late diving move and open up just an easier swing. So this morning we're seeing them kind of push the ball around, and honestly, I would be very surprised if we don't see them do it even more later on, especially Savvy. Savvy is, in my opinion, one of the best setters on the women's side right now. Her ability and location and tempo of the ball is just incredible to watch. She's almost running an indoor offense out here on the beach.
They're running like clockwork now after they're cleaning it up, as you can tell here in our second set. We got on that pass, you're looking at Emily Weber, goes off the block of Abby, and Simo making the attempt but unable to scoop.
Yeah, and one thing a very smart coach said to me years ago, I was at the AVCA convention, Karch Karai brought up, hey, beach volleyball is a game of two people and over 120,000 square inches. You're not going to score every point, no matter how simple it was. You just got to move on. And right there, Emily just, pushing that ball over the top of the block. Savvy making a great read, but just not able to get to it. But she had a whole lot of cross and cutty to watch and take care of. So Emily just getting that point, and Savvy's just moving on quickly. Abby, great serve. Down the seam, big bump set. And a big block by Abby there. Big run-up block.
She's doing a lot of that deception blocking, calling for the 4 and the 3 if you've been watching Abby on the net. And that's why I love this end line view. You can see what they're doing from a defensive standpoint, whereas not that it wasn't good at Denver by any means having that mid-court view, but end line, you can see what the teams are doing defensively so much better.
Oh, and now it's going to catch the line. Just barely. Allison dialing up a heck of a point for the side switch, 6-8.
Well,
actually, you bring that up, Rob. There was a very hilarious post by Troy Field. If you remember the kind of turn-away bounce that he had in the quarterfinal that we had the chance to call there at Denver. He posted 2 video clips of the same bounce, and one was from our view from the sideline, and one was from the end line from a phone. And he said, which view do you like better? And of course I commented, well, ours, of course, because you can hear our commentary. He quickly responded.
Self-promotion is the key to success.
he quickly responded and said, yeah, but look at my shoulder turn from the end line.
Well, he did provide us a lot of opportunities to see some the bomb fest, is what you like to call it, this last weekend, that's for sure.
And Evan Corey and Troy Field taking down that AVP Denver Open first place, winning their bid into Manhattan Beach. They're actually playing just to the left of us here on, I think that is court 2 maybe. So I'm sure we'll get to see them a little bit later, as they are also playing here at WAUPACA this weekend.
We've got a
Savvy
10-6 lead with Simo back to serve. She goes down the line over towards Kerr. And wisely done by Abby. Little toolage early on.
Yeah, that's just taking care of that overpass. Abby just getting up and using that, again, that 6'2 frame. And what's impressive about that, honestly, is that Abby Van Winkle, 6'2", but also a phenomenal jumper, which is not something we always see. A lot of times, you know, these taller players, you know, just kind of rely on their height, and they don't really jump a whole lot. But Abby just elevates when she chooses to, and on that overpass there, just gets up well over to the approaching attacker and just snaps it right off the top of her hand.
Well, you saw Savvy bang it off of the defender, Allison Kerr, on that option ball, and she's got some hops of her own as they run a quick set to the pin. And getting a hold of one, Allison Kerr on the stuff.
Yeah, Allison made a great move there. They ran that outside set. Abby pushing that ball almost a little bit past the pin. Savvy trying to sneak that one almost down the line, it looked like, but Allison just staying home, pressing back into the court.
Savvy. Look at the opportunity that Savvy provides on that second ball. She's got such great passing control.
Yeah, that is something that just can't honestly be taught, in my opinion. She obviously you can learn to, you know, control your passes a little bit better, but just the mentality that she has is just so, you know, what's the right word this morning? But she's just such a dog is the only way I can think to say it. She's never thinking, how can I just pass this ball? She's immediately thinking, how can I put this option ball up, and where's going to be the best location for Abby to be able to go up and swing, and just the offensive prowess that she has, even from serve receive, is just so deadly.
You know, I wanted to point out that the Van Winkle family, full of phenomenal athletes. You had former UCLA volleyball player Lori Johnson, now Lori Van Winkle, that's mom. Dave Van Winkle, Dave TV. If you watch, follow Abby and Tessa, their dad likes to stream and he has wonderful commentary. Former baseball player, UCLA, and of course Tessa Van Winkle, younger sister, who claims to be taller than Abby, also pursuing a beach volleyball career. So they've got a lot of athletes in the family, and they know the game. And it's, I'm telling you, if you wanted some comedic relief on commentary, follow Dave Van Winkle, or what I like to call Dave 2.0, and their Instagram live feeds, because they're following Abby and Tessa all through their playing, and you get some great laughs from his commentary.
Oh, I'm certainly going to have to tune into that.
13-8 at the technical, as we're checking on Allison here at the service line. That's Allison Kerr. Option ball by Abby. Kerr with a good placement shot, wrist away.
Savvy getting a touch on that, but shooting it under the net at Allison. Sometimes a little dodgeball taking place out here on the beach. That ball flying back under the net. Middle set, Savvy, good wrist away snap there. Cross back at Allison. So far, a split blocking team in Allison Kerr and Emily Weber, whereas Abby Van Winkle and Savvy Simo is certainly going more with their traditional single blocker, solo blocker, and a solo defender. Missed serve there by Savvy is going to bring up 10-14. Allison Kerr, Emily Weber doing their best to hang in right now and not give up any more runs. They stayed with Savvy and Abby early in this second set, gave away a small slip there in the middle, and have cleaned it up now, and they're staying with them kind of point for point. To give that one up, though, going to bring up 15-10, sending Abby Van Winkle, the solo blocker, back to the service line. So she's going to make the serve and then make her way the 27.5 feet up to the net.
Oh, there you go. Still going by American rather than metrics, right? Going international. Abby Van Winkle serves that one into the net. But Abby, as mentioning earlier, known for serving clutch in clutch times with the precision serving, because she has quite the array of serves that she uses, and they all are so lethal when she needs them to be.
Absolutely. I mean, that is two service errors back to back from Savvy and Abby, and they're a hitting error. So 3 errors in a row now. Savvy hitting that top serve into the net, Abby missing her deep float down the line into the net, and now a hitting error. So three quick errors have given Allison Kerr and Emily Weber kind of a door back into this game at 12-15, 1 point away from a switch.
Kerr back to serve here at our near side. Great movement on that standing float, but handled easily by Abby, and the option ball by Savvy.
Yeah, and Savvy going back to the, I just called it such a smart game. Recognizing that blockers kind of hands reaching back towards her, and then just easily poking that ball into open space. 16-12, Savvy back at the line. Oh, and a little payback.
Weber showing off a little 2-ball action.
Yeah. Emily Weber said, I see your pokey cutty. I got one of those too.
Now this pool 1 is going to be an interesting pool to follow with Savvy and Abby as a 1 seed, Jade Race, Sydney Wetterstrom as a number 2 seed. And here's the number 3 seed, Ella Connor and Izzy Martinez. And if you're familiar with that pair from Cal Poly, they are wicked. And then Allison Kerr and Emily Weber as the 4 seed in that pool.
That's a rough pool. I'm going to be the one to say it. That is a rough pool. I guarantee you, Savvy at some point looked at that pool setup and went, son of a gun, man.
Aren't we the 1 seed?
Yeah, Cal Poly turning out some phenomenal athletes over the last couple of years. We're seeing quite a few of their pairings come up into these Contender Series events.
Well, if you've been following Todd Rogers' program, he's had some phenomenal gets within the last 3 weeks, and they were good already. I'm curious. I mean, they finished the season at 3 in the highest in program history last year, and they were in the top 6 all year for the most part, and they're going to continue to elevate. That means that they're going for number 2, number 1. They want a natty in San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it. He's been doing some phenomenal things with that program.
19-14.
We had a really good cut shot just a second ago from Emily Weber, and then a missed serve. So again, they're playing some great ball and some great moments, and then kind of killing their own momentum with an unforced error in the subsequent points. So if Allison Kerr and Emily Weber can find a way to feed off those big moments and capitalize and certainly keep a ball in play in the subsequent play, they're going to set themselves up for a much longer run in this tournament. So 2015 is our side switch.
Bring us to our first match point.
Most times we would go ahead and talk about how Allison Kerr and Emily Weber could fight their way back through the loser side of the bracket at this point. But as we've seen, 20 serving 15 is not over yet after our incredible comeback win last weekend by Gina Uringo. I believe you had that duo on your podcast last night.
That's right. I was trying not to self-promote, but had to have that conversation. I mean, there's so many mind-blowing factors to that championship match, because first AVP ever for Avery Jackson, and she gets a first place. 86th AVP for Gina, and that's only her second first place. How they came together, I found out, which you can find out on the podcast. Actually, I won't. Billy Allen set that up between them, who was in the semifinal right before their match.
No way. And there we do see, we do have our first match of the day concluded here. Savvy Simo, Abby Van Winkle taking down Allison Kerr, Emily Weber. 21-13, 21-15. Savvy, Abby, honestly doing what we expected and doing what they needed to do. They came in, they just played nice, consistent volleyball. Allison Kerr, Emily Weber sticking with them for some good runs. And then Savvy, Simo, Abby, Van Winkle doing what they've proven they can do over a multitude of events, which is turn it on at the flip of a switch and go play some phenomenally clean volleyball, taking down their first match of the day.
I think it's interesting, Taylor. They're able to clean up their first set play. And you can tell that they've done this. Even in UCLA when they played together, they're able to clean things up. And after a first set of less than stellar play or sub-average play, they just are able to coach themselves out of this situation and let their athleticism take over and their volley IQ, and they start rolling. And yeah, as you're saying, this is like a marathon, not a sprint, and they're definitely saving it because they knew when to turn it on here to get this first win of the day in Pool 1, which, as we were saying just shortly before, not the easiest of pools. So should be some good stuff.
A very tough pool. Allison Kerr, Emily Weber, their day's certainly not over. They do have a chance now to win their next match of that lucky loser match and make their way still into the final bracket out of pool play. But as Rob Aspero has, already detailed out, they have a long road ahead of them in terms of their pool being rather difficult. Next up on Stadium Court here, we have Peter Knoll, Caleb Queckel taking on Patrick Rogers and Quinn Zilch. Peter Knoll, Caleb Queckel making it to a semifinal last weekend at AVP Denver, are looking to make their statement here. Caleb has broke onto the scene the last couple of years, playing some phenomenal ball and playing that, I would call it, that new flashy style that we've all seen from, several of the bigger teams making some big moves lately, lots of jump sets, and likes to move the ball around a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to mesh well with Peter Knoll. Peter being a big in this matchup and really likes a nice high ball, but we've also seen Peter pulls out some incredible quick plays as well.
Well, excellent there, Taylor. Looking forward to working with you all day today and tomorrow as we're jumping on to the WAUPACA boat ride presented by the AVP Contender Series event. As stated, 10K purse, 30K per side, and a MBO, Manhattan Beach Open auto berth into the main draw also on the line. So we'll catch you all in just a few moments as we get ready for our next matchup. Should be hard on the hour is what I'm thinking, because they're going to have their warm-up, and that's what we have in our schedule. So be sure to follow along on volleyballlife.com. Search for today's events. WAUPACA will be the key word, and you'll see all the scores, brackets, and other information pop up. So for Taylor Wright, I'm Rob Aspero. Stick with us. We're here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, as it begins to heat up here in our AVP Contender.